Yes. Dr. Tori, good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Hey, come to yourself.
I'm not hearing, so he's talking to me, but I'm not hearing.
Unmute himself. He's mute.
Okay.
Yeah. Tell him to unmute himself.
Doctor, unmute yourself, sir. Doctor, unmute yourself. Victor, can you unmute him?
Hey, I never even looked at it. I tried looking at this.
Doctor, unmute yourself. You are muted.
Okay.
We can hear you
I
now.
think you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm doing fine. We are looking forward to Christmas.
Okay.
We're thanking God that at least we are seeing another Christmas.
Bless God, sir. Bless God, sir. Hello? 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 Good morning. No, we are not hearing you. Your mic is not well connected.
Okay.
Okay, it's okay now. It's okay now. It's okay now, sir.
Okay, let me see. I'm trying to use this.
It's
Let me
okay
test
now.
it.
It's okay now, sir.
I'm coming. Just a second.
Hello? Hello? No, we can't.
You cannot hear me.
Yes. It's,
The headphone with microphone. But you can hear me now.
yes, very clear, sir.
Okay, that's good. I probably use this. Why is this not working?
And it worked. Maybe you can try it again.
Let me see. I can hear from me, but I'm not.
Okay, speak now. No, touch the cable again. Hello, touch the cable properly. No, it's just faint. It's fainty. I'm hearing you, but it's fainty. It's fainty. Touch the cable, the port, the plug-in port. Yes, the port, plug it.
Try another system.
It's better now. It's better now, sir. It's better.
Okay, it's better now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me see. Don't know what's going on.
Dr. Otiri, good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Mr. Odushola. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm very well. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let me say thank you
For
for
setting this up.
I took you out of your very, very busy schedule. And
yeah, I almost didn't sleep for about 2 days.
Sorry.
I almost didn't sleep to put it together.
It's been a very trying period for the country and all of us.
Well, we thank God that we are here to still be present. We thank God.
Yes. Thank you very much.
We reached 2021.
It's been a very difficult time, and we have, we should be in a position to finish this year 2020 on a high note.
Yes, it's a very good effort on your part. I praise you. So when the going gets tough, only the tough gets going.
We are
when the going gets tough, when the going gets tough, only the tough get going.
Exactly. That is where that is what the challenges are. But we thank God. Before we start this webinar, I just want to thank all of us that we are alive today to see this day. I want to say very big thank you to our speakers and all the people that will be joining us to deliberate on some key issues affecting our lives and affecting us as people. Most importantly, we decided to speak on water today with the expert himself, who, by all means is an expert. I got to know Dr. Otiri in 1995 when we had water conference.
That's a long time.
That's a long time ago. When we had water conference at Mainland Hotel in collaboration with Lagos State Water Corporation. And he spoke eloquently about groundwater pollution and the rest, and as it affects industrial development and industrial growth and manufacturing. And at that time, I got to know from him that if all the rainwater that falls on top of your home, you can drink it. You can do anything you like with it. But if you are going to now drink from a process, a pipe water, pipe into your house by either Lagos State government or state governments, water corporations, you must be prepared to pay for it, because a process of taking that water to your house costs money, and somebody must be paying. And that's what happens in the developed economy. You pay water bill, electricity bill, gas bill, and all of that. So I got to know all this and many more things I learned from Dr. Otiri in 1995. And we've been close since then, discussing issues that grow national economy and several industries. For me, it has been an experience and a journey that is quite unique. Today, he will also be lending his voice to this same issue of water. We're having two prone events today. His own is to talk from the point of view of the CED forum, which is done hand in hand with the CED forum award. CED forum, since it started in 1993, has been held at Sheraton Hotel. But this year, we know what is going on. So we are doing this virtually so that we don't get to miss any year anymore, because there was a point that at the point we missed about 2 years of the event during the transition to the civilian regime. But now it's been on, which means that it's been on for an upward of about 25 years. And within that period, I know that we have discussed several issues that can grow the economy and contribute to national development, indeed, with several speakers speaking from different perspectives. Today, we want to welcome every one of us that will be joining or that have joined this particular conversation today to listen to this important topic of water. Recently, there was in the 7th Assembly, there was a water bill that was thrown out, and it has been introduced in the 8th Assembly. We don't know what's going to happen, but there must be a reason for bringing back this water bill. Importance of water to industrial development. And I'm sure that Professor Oteri will be talking precisely from that kind of, that point of view. Now, the second part of this, which usually also is held annually at Sheraton hotels, is the Business Leaders Conference. That platform is also from us, Inside Business. Century 21, we have 2 platforms, CED Forum, CED Magazine, and Inside Business Magazine and TV program. From that particular perspective of Inside Business Africa, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa will be speaking on the diaspora contributions to national development. And I'm sure we are interested because quite a number of things are developing over time, especially with this new normal, and especially with what is going on today globally with the pandemic. And most of us rely so much on diaspora remittances to cushion the effects of our revenues and to build capacity within the monetary policies. So many things has happened, and that commission that she's heading, I'm glad to also say that she was actually the initiator of that bill, Diaspora Commission Bill, when she was in the House of Representatives. I must commend my colleague, a very good friend of us, Abike Dabiri-Erewa, a veteran journalist of NTA of those days, who today has remained very consistent in the political sphere and also national development. Mrs. Erewa is heading that commission that she actually introduced the bill when she was in the House of Representatives. What a coincidence. If we want to call it that. But what is important, what I would call that is that she's done the thing manifested into commission and she's heading it. So she has no choice but to ensure the sustainability of the commission and also policies that will actually ensure the commission rights the wrongs of the past and contribute to national discourse and development. It's very important. For us, at Century 21 Systems Communications, we are so delighted to actually say that this particular conversation is holding despite the challenges of the time. For me, as the driver of this process, I'm particularly delighted because certain circumstances may have gone on that couldn't make us to be here today. But we are here. We must give glory to God. I must thank Dr. Oteri without wasting so much time because we have maybe about 2 or 3 awards to be given. And we also have an award for most influential women in Nigeria, which is coming on the platform of IBCA. And IBCA is also the platform of the Inside Business Africa. And we will be giving possibly 2 or 3 awards to some most influential women in Nigeria. These guys, including Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa, I've just told you that she started it. She sent a bill to the National Assembly. By providence, she is now also the one actually running the bill. I mean, the commission that emanated from the bill. So you can imagine that she's an influential woman in Nigeria. Very, very influential because she has done well. And we will also be giving out CED Commendation Award. Let me see it. Construction Digest Forum Awards to 1 or 2 organizations that have done exceedingly well within the year. We also understand to all of us that are joining this, especially also from the team of Inside Business Africa and CED magazine. You've all done well for the year that we are holding this. It's actually a testimony. So at this point in time, let me invite Dr. Oteri. Dr. Oteri, without wasting so much time, I'd like to invite Dr. Oteri to present his paper. And indeed, like I've said, the profile of his own capability. So let me ask that the people in the studio, he will be sharing his presentation. So please, can you just unmute Dr. Oteri right away so that he will speak? Our controller in the room, can you unmute Dr. Oteri so that he can take his paper? Dr. Oteri is a fellow of NAPE. So,
Good
Dr.
morning.
Oteri,
Yeah.
yes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first of all thank Mr. Stevenson, Udishola Stevenson. Like he stated at the beginning, we've known ourselves over the years. I've been in constant touch and talking to each other, and I've actually featured in a lot of the CED programs. And like I was telling him on the side, he's been very dogged. Things have been up and down, but he's been doing, continuing and going on with the fight. And I commend him and I wish him all the best of success in the years to come. And I hope in 30 years' time, we'll still be here to still rub minds together on things of common interest at a higher level. Please, if my paper can be put on the screen so that I can start my presentation. The host, please, I sent it to you. Can I share the, yeah, okay. Thank you very much. So I'm talking on water governance in the Federal Republic, an overview of the National Water Resources Bill. Next slide, please. The one before that. Okay, this just gives the order of presentation. I start with an introduction, then discuss the water governance, integrated water resources management, because if you listen, there's been a lot of discussions on this water resources bill over the last few months, and you hear people harping on integrated water resources management, IWRM. I'm going to speak briefly on it. Then I'll look at the draft National Water Resources Bill, because at this stage it's still a draft subject to input from us, public, as well as the National Assembly. Then a discussion of the bill, the conclusion, acknowledgement. Next slide, please. Now, the title of the bill is an act to establish a regulatory framework for the water resources sector in Nigeria, provide for the equitable and sustainable development, management, use, and conservation of Nigeria's surface water and groundwater resources, and for related matters 2020. Now, first of all, let me just summarize my speech. It is an excellent act, and this bill, or which will eventually become an act, is something that should have been passed 57 years ago and should have been in operation over the years. It should have my own prognosis and advice is that it should be supported and made to work, but this will be after amendments by all and sundry. That means, it's a bill, that means it's not perfect. We have to make it perfect by suggesting amendments, changes in a few of the places, tinkering with it to make it perfect enough for it to be passed. And of course, we have to remember that water is life to human beings, to all living things, and without water, there's no living object. Next slide. Now, water is one of the fundamental resources. It's at once one of the most common substances, and next to air is water. Water plays a major role in virtually every aspect of human life. Water is a major component of the environment along with air and soil. And without water, there is no life. Next slide. Now, as we will see very soon, all the water in the world, very little part of it is fresh water. And as I've stated, human life is impossible without fresh water. We can't drink salt water, because if we drink salty water, what will happen is we will all die of dehydration. So we need fresh water. Unfortunately, only about 0.8% of the total water in the hydrosphere is fresh water available to man. The less than 1% of all fresh water species available to man as ground and surface water, they are not only unevenly distributed in both space and time, but have a finite limit in terms of practical utilization. What we are saying is that even in Nigeria, water is very available in Lagos, in rivers, in delta, but as you go to the far north, it's less available. You go to the Sahara Desert, you don't have water at all. So there's this variation in where water occurs. Next slide. This next slide shows the distribution of water in the hydrosphere. Let me point out the hydrosphere is water in the whole Earth, and it consists of oceans, it consists of land, it consists of what we call groundwater, water in the rocks below, surface water, and even water in the air. And all this water moves around in what we call the hydrological cycle. But if we take all this water together, almost 98% of it is salt water, which you cannot use for human living. And that means there's only 3% of the water that is fresh. Now, of this 3%, almost 69% is unavailable because it's in the glaciers and the permanent snow cover. So it's only a very small percentage of fresh water that is available to man worldwide. And of this, about 30% of it occurs as groundwater. That's water in the ground. I'm a groundwater scientist, but when you are dealing with water, you find that water, whether it's ground or surface, we have to manage them together. Next slide. Next slide, please. Now, importance of fresh water. Water is required for human consumption, recreation, industry, and agriculture. And like we said, it's one of the most critical problems facing developing countries, especially getting potable water. And the absence of water resources of the appropriate quantity and quality is a hindrance to economic growth. Next slide. Now, so you have shortages. I mean, we experience shortages even in Nigeria, in Lagos, and many parts of the country. And it's going to spread, it's going to become more because the population is increasing. So if we don't do anything, if we don't manage this water and find means of getting more water, we are going to have worse shortages then than now. Now, in many regions, these shortages are going to be made worse by climate change, which we all know exists. And of course, unfortunately, the available fresh water is threatened by pollution due mainly to the activities of man and to a lesser extent, natural factors. Next slide. Now, what is the objective of this bill? This bill, the National Water Resources Bill, the objective is to ensure that the nation's water resources are protected, they are used, they are developed, they are conserved, they are managed, and they are controlled in equitable, sustainable manner for the good of all, which means we want to develop these water resources, we want to use them, we want to manage them so that we can have enough now and for the years to come, next 50 years, next 100 years. Actually, in some parts of the world, they are developing the water they want to use in 20, 30 years' time. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, we are still trying to develop the water we should have used 10 years ago. But water has to be sustainable because the children unborn, generations unborn, we still need water, and more because their population will be greater. Next slide. The next slide just shows some of the adverse the activities that impact groundwater. And one of these is a pumping of boreholes. whether it's domestic or industrial. If we pump them too much, or we have so many of them, we are pumping them too much, it can lead to a fall in the water level in the ground, and this will lead to the ground going down, what we call land subsidence. And it's been observed in many parts of the world, in Jakarta, in Indonesia, in Bangkok, in Thailand, in Mexico City, in Houston. And the question is there land subsidence occurring in Lagos, for example, or any part of Nigeria? We don't know, because we don't collect the data we should be collecting. We should have been collecting. We need to collect data so that we know whether the ground is going down. And if there's subsidence, if there is a fall in water levels, it's just like, so if somebody is sick and you know the illness, you can treat it. So if we know that there's overpumping, then we can, there are means of overcoming that. And of course, one thing I need to say here is that if the public water, the public utilities are producing enough water, then there won't be as many boreholes as we have now. I will have a borehole if I'm getting water from the Lagos Water Corporation. And this is where the state is failing, or the government, both state, federal and state, are failing in that they are not producing enough water for people to be able to use, so that the number of boreholes we are drilling will be less. Unfortunately, they tell us we are drilling too many boreholes, but they are not providing us what they should provide. And this is one thing government should think of doing. Then in areas by the sea or lagoons, intensive and unregulated use of boreholes, pumping of water leads to saltwater contamination. That means the saltwater in the sea will start moving if we take too much water. So we need to control the amount of water we are taking so that saltwater does not come in. Because if saltwater comes into where our fresh water is, then the water will be so bad we can't use it again. And this saltwater intrusion occurs all over the coastal areas in the world. In Nigeria, it occurs all over the coastal areas, as well as some inland areas like Goja, like Makurdi, in the Benue Trough. There's solid and liquid waste, which we dispose in places like Olusoso at Ojota, in Idimu, and many other places. They give rise to water contamination, both groundwater and surface water. Then another major problem that affects groundwater, especially in Lagos area, is petroleum. Petroleum products, spillage in the pipeline, either due to vandalism or mechanical failures of the pipeline. And of course, crude oil too, spilling in the oil producing areas and on the pipeline, moving oil from the Delta to Kaduna, give rise to water contamination. And you see this contamination in many areas in Lagos, in a place like Aba and many other places. Then even petrol stations give rise. Unfortunately, this is something we are not looking at very well. Next slide. Next slide, please. Now, I talked about sustainability. We need to develop water in a sustainable manner. That means we need to manage the water, develop it, manage it, both quantity and quality, so that generations yet unborn will have water of good quality. Now, to be able to manage water in such a sustainable manner, we need data. Unfortunately, this is what we don't have in this country, and we will talk about it later. And it was something that was emphasized many years ago in 2002. That's about 18 years ago, by the former head of state, President Obasanjo, talking about data, that without data, you cannot manage. So you need data for any meaningful development, and data collection is very, very important. I need to emphasize that. Next slide, please. Now, next slide. I want to define water governance. Water governance is this range of political, move back, please. Move back. Yeah. Water governance is the range of political, social, economic, and administrative steps that are in place to develop and manage water resources and to deliver water services at different levels of society. There are different levels where you have governance. International, because we have transboundary aquifers and rivers. That means a river like River Niger that flows from one country to the other. It comes from, let's say, from Conakry down to Mali, down to Niger, down to Nigeria. So there has to be governance so that all these countries manage that water in a sustainable manner. Then at a national level, we have states. If it's a unitary sort of government, like say Ghana or some of these countries, Sierra Leone, that is just one country with a unitary sort of government, you will have governance at that level. In a federal country, federal republic system like Nigeria, like United States, where you have different states or regions or provinces, the governance structure will be different because there will be a relationship between the states, within the states, then between the different states, and between states and the federal government. Then when we talk about catchments, where that means it's a subunit where the water is sort of enclosed within a subunit. You have catchment both in a unitary sort of governments. That means a country running a unitary form of government. We have deep catchments in it. The same thing with federal state, country with federal state. You still have catchment, and that means we have catchment management in both systems running unitary form of government as well as those running a federal system of government. Next slide, please. Now, this is defining governance. The governance requires cooperation between the jurisdictions involved, and legal and institutional arrangement in support of this cooperation. What basically I'm saying is that there needs to be cooperation between the different levels. Nigeria has to cooperate with Niger Republic within the Niger Basin Commission, or cooperate with Niger, Chad, and Cameroon in the Lake Chad Basin Commission. And also, the federal government has to cooperate with the states when it comes to governance within Nigeria. That means the water governance in Nigeria, like a state like Lagos might have its rules, but its rules should be compatible with those in, say, Ogun State. And there are areas where the federal government will come in to work with the various states. This is what happens in the federal sort of systems, not one person like that federal government saying, "Oh, we have everything," and the states are just, we just tell them what to do. It's not exactly like that. Next slide. Okay. Now, let's talk about integrated water resources management. The definition says it's a process which promotes coordinated development and management of water, land, and related natural resources in order to maximize the resultant economic and social welfare in an equitable manner without compromising the sustainability of vital ecosystems. When you look at it, you find that when we are looking at groundwater water resources management, governance and all that, it's not just science, it's not just geology, it's not just engineering. You have the social aspect, the economic aspect, the political aspect. Now, IWRM is fundamentally a means to achieve management goals. Furthermore, by indicating the phrase "a process which promotes," it shows the definition and identifies an important connection between IWRM, that's integrated water resources management, and governance. Next slide. Now, in the next slide, we are looking at application of IWRM in water resources management. And it involves water resources management at catchment level. And this has been in operation as early as 1933 in the Tennessee Valley of the USA. It's not a new concept. It's been there, and it is still evolving and developing. It is practiced in countries with a federal republic system of government, with a thriving democracy, as well as in countries practicing unitary system. It's not unique to a particular system. You can adapt it to any system. And one thing we need to say, or what was said, which I got from the literature, is that it's not just one way thing, that if you don't do it this way, then it's wrong. No, it's that one unfortunate consequence of globalization of IWRM is, as an idea, is that various international organizations have produced guidelines which create a false impression that IWRM, so sequential fashion, is a single, universal, and relatively straightforward approach that can be applied and transferred in a blueprint. That means if you don't do it this way, you cannot, then you are not doing it well, it's wrong. It's what I might call TINA. That is, there's no alternative to this. This is the only way. No, this is not a matter of this only way. There are many ways. Next slide, please. Now, it's obvious that political, administrative, and cultural beliefs, attitudes, customs, and norms vary from country to country, from region to region, and even in some cases from community to community. This view implies that anyone approved for IWRM that might be favored and be possible in a catchment or a river basin or in one part of the world cannot be assumed to fit everywhere. Now, examples of IWRM projects are Oregon in USA, Tennessee Valley Authority in USA, Ontario in Canada. Then even between countries, there is what is called the Stamford Transboundary Aquifer System. This is an aquifer in Southern Africa that occurs in Namibia, it occurs in Botswana, it occurs in South Africa, but it's the same aquifer. So they formed a catchment, a management authority, a management office that is managing this aquifer as one. It's just like in Lagos, for example, the groundwater, the aquifers we have here in Lagos, where we get our water, extends to a part of Ghana. So Ghana, Benin, Togo have to come together in a manner and say, okay, what is happening to your water in the ground in Nigeria? How is it in Togo? How is it in Benin? So that if we pump too much in Agbara, it can affect the people in Cotonou, or if they pump too much in Cotonou and mismanage it, it can affect Badagry. So all of them have to come together, gather data and manage it so that it's managed properly for the people. This is part, this also, in this case, is transboundary. And it's like Lagos State with Ogun State. All the aquifers come from Ogun State. So we have to manage them with Ogun State. We have to put heads together, collect data, and say this is what we should do so that in the next 50 years, our children and children's children will still have this aquifer to supply their water. Next slide, please. Now, what is the governance structure in Nigeria? The water supply is in the concurrent legislative list. The federal government level, you have the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, including its agencies and institutes responsible for formulating and coordinating national water policies, development and management of large water infrastructure, and occasional intervention in water supply. Water supply is mainly the business of state governments. They are in charge of water supply, but like I said, federal government has intervened in a number of occasions, like in 1980 with the National Borehole Program, then there was the PTF project, the D-Free, and these borehole schemes they do through the House of Assembly constituency projects that they call them. So federal government intervenes, but basically water supply to me and you is meant to be state government. The local government is at the local government level, so doing supply to local government areas. Next slide, please. Now, in pre-colonial era, between 1914, when this country became Nigeria, and 1960, the colonial masters in the United Kingdom ran the various institutions of government, and after the system in UK, the Geological Surveys of Nigeria, which I call GSN, served as the repository for all borehole data, whether it was for oil, for minerals like coal, and for water. That means at that time, every borehole that was drilled in this country, the data was sent to the Geological Surveys. Until today, we still have those data either in published reports or even sometimes you have the samples preserved by the Geological Surveys of Nigeria. Now, data on all these wells were recorded by geologists and submitted to GSN. Now, numerous studies were also carried out in various parts of Nigeria, especially in the Chad Basin and the Sokoto area, some of it with assistance from international agencies like the United States Geological Surveys or the British Geological Surveys. Now, monitoring of the water, groundwater, was done in Chad Basin and in the Sokoto area. Then other countries with UK as the colonial masters, they had the similar systems, and up to today they are running them. I've seen this in a country like Kenya, and Botswana runs the same system. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, like in many other areas, we abandoned that system. And for a long time, we don't keep records of our boreholes. We don't know what I'm taking for my house or for my company and things like that. Now, at this time, between 1914 and 1960, while the geological surveys was taking care of the water in the ground, which we call groundwater, the inland water was measuring flows along the river Niger. This is very important because when there is flooding and all that, it's where you know whether flood is going to come, like the Nigerian Hydrological Services Agency is doing today, whether flood is going to come to my village in the Niger Delta and drive our people away, or in Lokoja or what. You have to study the river flows, river quality, and also Inland Waterways was doing that. Next slide, please. Now, in the early years after independence, next slide, please. Yeah, no, go back, come back, please. Yeah. They move to next slides. Okay, in the early years of independence, water supply was on the concurrent legislative list with federal, state, and local government. Which was, the water projects, both water supply and studies were conducted by federal and states, with local governments doing only water supply. At federal level, groundwater was under water supply section of the geological surveys, river studies were inland waterways. Then the states, then the water corporations of the states were under the ministries of works and planning, depending on many states. And they carried out many studies. They carried out construction of a lot of water supply projects. Next slide, please. We see some of these projects. This slide shows the water scheme in Umuahia, which was built by the late Chief Bakwe's regime. And this scheme ceased working since 2007. It's a fantastic scheme. It just needs a little money to put together, and then you will have when you do that, you have water in Umuahia. But right now in Umuahia, everybody is on its own, looking for trying to get water from boreholes, because this scheme that was built at that time by state government is lying fallow, is lying unattended to. Next slide. Now, in Kano State, at that time, the late police commissioner Bako built Tiga Dam and all that, and Kano was flooded with water. The Water Resources and Engineering Construction Agency, RECA, did a lot of work and actually had archives of data. It was fantastic. And so, again, this is an example of where the governance structure, where water was on the concurrent list, was working well, with the federal doing some, the states doing a lot. And actually at this time, even in Delta State, there was built a scheme for water scheme in Sapele and in Warri. At that time, that was in the early 60s. Now they have been building the Warri water scheme since 1999. It's yet to be completed. Then the northern government dug a lot of wells. This is a picture of the Tiga Dam built by Audu Bako. Next slide will show us a dug well. Yeah, the next one will show a dug well that was dug during in the northern region. There are very many of these dug wells in the north, and they are still working till today. The interesting thing that these old wells, which were dug in the 60s by the northern government, are even doing better than the one being constructed today and the shallow boreholes being drilled today, which means that time when they had 1 penny, they used it very well. Next slide. Now, today, states have carried out studies and construction of water supply infrastructure, as we are talking as now, including with loans from finance institutions. I know of Cross River State recently completed new water schemes in Ikom, Ogoja, and Obudu. But I should add that poor power supply in Nigeria, coupled with increasing prices of power and water treatment chemicals put enormous pressure on water supply utilities in Nigeria and partially responsible for the low level of public water supply and the attendant increase in number of boreholes being drilled by individuals, companies, and communities. What I'm saying is that what states are going through a lot of here, providing enough volume of public water to us because of the high cost of chemicals, the high cost of power, the high cost of all these inputs. And that means they cannot produce enough water, but we need water. So we drill boreholes. And when we drill boreholes, we are told we are drilling too many boreholes. But we cannot do without drilling boreholes, get water if the state is not getting us water. So the states have to, up their ante in terms of water supply. So we now go to the National Water Resources Bill. The next slide. Yeah, I now discuss the National Water Resources Bill 2020. The next slide gives us, I'm now looking at the bill. And in part 5 of the bill, licensing of the National Water Resources Bill 2020. This part 5, is the one area many members of the public are unhappy about. This relates to licensing of boreholes, borehole drillers, being able to tell you how much water you can take from your well, and being able to say, okay, look, for reasons, for technical reasons, for reasons of pollution from one source or the other, you should stop pumping your borehole altogether. What I need to say is that the need for licensing to establish a data bank is very important. This is something that, as I will show, has been there in the offing in Nigeria even since 1967. It is something very valid, and I will try and explain the rationale for having it. First of all, we need to license drillers and license boreholes so that we know where these boreholes are. We know where they are getting their water from. So we can now be able to manage and know how much water is coming in and how much water is going out, and whether anything is happening to the water in terms of falling water levels, and manage it generally, and be able to predict what will happen in 10 years, 20 years time if there is due to climate change. Without that data from the drillers, we cannot do that. And this is where we are now in this country, that we don't have this data, and we are in the dark in terms of our water resources. So we need for licensing to get data for our data bank. Then to provide progressive buildup of knowledge on water resources conditions in the country, to administer and control surface and groundwater abstraction, to prevent adverse environmental impact, and to provide a better management of water resources. The number of items to be licensed in the National Water Resources Bill, however, in my opinion, there are so many. I think a good number of them actually are being regulated by other federal and state agencies outside the Federal Ministry of Water Resources. So I think they can go back, and this is where I'm talking about taking a second look at the bill. They can go back and pull down some of those items they want to also do licenses from them. Because if you have a project, you take license from Federal Ministry of Water Resources, you go to the Department of Petroleum Resources, for the same thing, you take license. You go to NOSDRA, you take license. You go to NESTRA, you take license. You go to, you go to Ministry of Mines and Power, you take license for the same thing. It's ease of doing business. I'm not a businessman, but it's, everywhere you are doing exactly the same thing. And they need to take a look at that. Those items are too many. Next slide, please. Now, still on that, licensing and management of water resources is done in all countries of the world, as water is too important, as I've mentioned, and fresh water is scarce, to be left unattended to. So it's something that is done. So we have to accept it, that we have to license boreholes, we have to license drillers, we have to know how much water you are taking. And in certain cases, we are meant to be able to reduce your water. But if you are saying reduce your water, the state, which is in charge of water supply, to give you an alternative. You cannot say I should reduce my water without giving me another source of water. And this is where the states have to up their design. This is where, in my opinion, as I will say later, the federal cannot just take over licensing. Because the federal that is not in charge of water supply takes over licensing and then tells me to reduce my water. They have no means of supplying me, putting me on another system to get more water because they're not in charge of water supply in the states. Now, going back to what we are saying, after independence, when this system broke down, and a report referred to in a slide below, stated that a public notice was issued in 1967 to the effect that there should be licensing. That was 1967. Draft regulations for licensing in Lagos were produced again in 1976. That means in Lagos State, there was a report saying, look, drilling boys should take permission. They should record them with the state. That was 67. Then in 1976, there was a study carried out by Kamsa Kruger, and we had an item on borehole licensing and management. And in 1996, there was a study carried out by Blizzard Limited, Akute Geo Resource Limited, that was deputy team leader for that project, and another company, Rough Kennard. And part of our recommendation was there should be created a water management unit in the Lagos Water Corporation dealing with water management, licensing, and all that. Unfortunately, all these things come into fruition, but luckily in 2016, next slide, Lagos State has come up with a law on which is run under the Lagos State Water Regulatory Commission on licensing and other areas of management. Now, I'm just here, this slide here is just talking about licensing water governance in Nigeria, 1967 to 2020. And the claims I've talked about the 67. The major one, first one was Kamsa Kruger and Schwed Associates in 1977. And the project was carried out for Lagos State Ministry of Works and Planning. And they recommended the establishment and recommendation to establish a manner of operation of well record section. And this was to cover only groundwater. And you had the licensing system with permits, submission of relevant data and all that. In 1996, in a project by Blizzard, Akute Geo Resource, and Rough Kennard and Laporte, the project was carried out for Lagos State Water Corporation. It was a World Bank assisted project. It proposed the Water Resources Act with guidelines and regulations, and it was meant to regulate and manage both groundwater and surface water. The things to be done were exactly the same as that of 1977. And like I said, all this didn't come through. Now, again, in Federal Ministry of Water Resources, the bill we are talking about now, Federal Republic of Nigeria, and how to establish, which is what we are talking about, groundwater and surface water managing and all that, and establishment of all this. So what I'm saying is that all this licensing is not just something of today. It's something that is done throughout the world. And it's something that has been suggested over the years in Nigeria. So please, let's accept it and know that it's good for us. Because if we don't do it, one day we will wake up and our balls will get dry and we won't have any alternative. Next slide, please. Now, we go to the objective and entitlement to use of water. Another part of the part 1, 2.1 and 2.2 of the National Water Resources Bill. Sorry, I'm not a learned man, so I might not be pronouncing those very right. But this is part 1 of the National Water Resources Bill. And the first part says, the right to the use, management, and control of all surface water and groundwater affecting more than one state, pursuant to item 64 of the exclusive legislative list in part 1 of the second schedule to the Constitution of is set out, and it says states may, that the important thing is that the federal government is going to be in charge of aquifers or any surface water resources affecting more than one state. That is the important thing. The right to use, management, and control of all surface water and groundwater affecting more than one state is to be done by the federal government. That is the major part of that bill. States are to be only in charge of water that is solely within the boundaries. And even then, it will still be under some control by the federal. These two, to me, are the most contentious aspects of the National Water Resources Bill 2020. Next slide, please. Okay, now here I'll put a list of statutes of water resources in Nigeria, the main ones. First of all, there was the Minerals Act of 1917, and which leaves Lord the head of state with power to make regulations for the prevention of pollution of any water course. Then the second was oil in navigable waters. Then the Petroleum Act, the River Basin Development Authority Decree, the Environmental Impact Assessment Decree. Then the major decree on water resources, the Water Resources Decree number 101 of 1993. Prior to 1993, this country was running water as on a concurrent list. But this Decree 101 of 1993 removes water from the concurrent list as a way and brought it into exclusive legislative list. That's where you are now having any aquifer or river affecting more than one state is to be run by the federal government. Before then, that wasn't there. And this, which was done in the military era without any input from anybody, transmitted to Water Resources Act of 2004 and was carried into the 1999 Constitution. So this is the basic, this is the foundation of what we have in our running our water this. And like I said, in effect, like I stated, before 1993, water was on the concurrent list. With this bill now, it came into exclusive list, and it's just changed the whole scenario. And to a lot of people, it's like the whole water resources bill and like the way their governance right now under the Decree 101 of 1993 is a foundation which a lot of us feel is not a strong foundation, because we are meant to be running a federal constitution, not a state and not a unitary type of government. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Now, the extant laws administering water sector, Decree 101 of 1993, which I've talked about, the Minerals Act, the Inland Waterways Act of 1997, River Basins, and then the state's water eddies and customary eddies. Actually, the states still are meant to produce eddies, just like the Lagos State water government has produced a water law in Lagos State. They are still entitled to it, but like I stated, with this Decree 101, which has now transmitted into the 1999 Constitution, which is not the basis for this 2-1 of the National Resources Bill, has actually removed that. Next slide. So Decree 101, as I say, is the bedrock of water resources legislation in Nigeria. And in a sense, remove water from concurrent list. It left the states and local governments to be in charge of public water supply without control of the sources of water. What I'm saying here is this. Lagos State, sorry, I use Lagos State because I'm a Lagosian. Lagos State is meant to produce water for us, but it's not in control of the water, where it's getting its water from, because the River Ogun comes all the way from Oyo State. It moves to Ogun State and Lagos. So it's going through, it's affecting many states. Where we get our water from the ground, they all come from Ogun State. Even where we dig our wells in Apapa, what we call the recent sediments, it extends to Benin Republic, it extends to Ogun State, which means it's not even just affecting 2 states, it's affecting 2 countries, which means Lagos State cannot control where it's getting its water from, cannot say, oh, this water is getting bad, let me do this, because of this item on that bill. So, but you want them to say, you are in charge. So if there's no water, you blame Lagos State. Yet, they have no say about where the water is coming from. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've stated that. And what I was saying is that water governance and integrated water resources management is carried out in all countries, both those with a federal system of governance and those with a unitary system of government. It's applied between countries in case of transboundary aquifers, like I've mentioned. The countries running a unitary form of government like Ghana, South Africa, in a way, in their water system, the way they run it, it's not being run like a federal republic, like in Nigeria, like in in Canada with provinces. No, there is a centralized thing because that is the way they did it. But ours is different. We are states, different states in a federation. Then in countries with federal structure, like we have either they are called states or regions or provinces, the regulation is done at the state level with the federal handling aspects such as international relations and things like that. Now I'm going to give, the next slides are going to give examples of this type of governance in some states. Next slide. I'm almost through, please. This is a Canada. This decentralization arises as a result of constitutional division of powers between scales of government. As a result, water management is shared by the federal and the provincial governments. It's the provinces that have ultimate responsibility for formulating some of these things. But the federal still has input. It can say, okay, let's all do this, let's do that, let's do that. This is what the United UNEP is saying. This is what international regulations are, and the states do it. And the states also get the data in a standardized form and, you know, share among themselves. Next slide, please. Next slide. India, the same thing. Even though groundwater management is recognized as a national priority problem with the Central Groundwater Board, yet it is states that have that give the actual initiative in terms of regulation. With matter of this kind, where regulation has to be region-based, such decentralization is necessary. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, Germany is similar. It's water management lies in the hands of the state and its component water authorities. In order to guarantee the preemptive protection of water resources, their use is safe for blah, blah, blah. With the competent, there's still a national organization which harmonizes all these things, both within the country and with the EU and other external organizations. Next slide. Next slide, please. I'm getting hot. Okay, we come to a conclusion. I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, so Nigeria is a federal state, not a unitary state. It's a federation of states. It considers a federal system. And Nigeria is a very large country where we have inefficient services due to over-centralization and poor funding of the organizations by governments at various stages. So we cannot have one agency at federal government running everything. Federal has to do its part, states have to do their part, and local governments have to do their part, and we individuals have to do our part. We cannot leave it to one entity. One entity cannot sit in Abuja and run. Then we are not going to have things working as they are not working right now. Next slide. Next slide. Next, okay. So federal states in current National Water Resources Bill, states should be in charge of this, my own recommendation. States should be in charge of licensing, that is part 5, of all surface waters and groundwater aquifers. What is required is the states having agencies working closely, that is in closely cooperation with federal agencies at federal level, while at federal level, you have specialist groups can be set up that we work with relevant staff in state agencies. Like when we talked earlier on about studies in the Chad Basin, it was the US Geological Service that sent staff to work with Nigerians on the Chad Basin, the same thing in the Sokoto Basin. And there was a project some friends of mine did where the British Geological Survey had a project and they brought it to Nigeria and worked on Nigeria. So federal can still work on the states, even though they are not those in charge of the nitty-gritty of licensing boreholes and licensing this. They all have to work together. And you can still run your catchment management without with states having a predominant pivotal role in the management structure. Now, again, I said the number of items in the license are too many because you'll be running from one organ of government to the other with the same thing. And we need to reduce the ease of doing business. Then the Nigeria Water Regulatory Commission, which is in this new bill, to me is a superfluous agency. It can be subsumed in either the Federal Ministry of Water Resources or the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, because most of its duties are already in those other organizations. Even river basins can do some of them. We don't need to create so many organizations doing exactly the same thing. We say government is getting too large, there's no money. Now, again, I want to emphasize water resources management at catchment level, either within a state or between two or more states. We still be done in Nigeria in other countries with federal constitution. You don't have to have federal government doing being at the helm and doing as it is in the bill for you to have water resources management at catchment level. Next slide, please. Next slide. Now, I talked to some of my professional colleagues, senior professional colleagues, I must say, because though my hair is white, but I'm not the geologist of geologists. I'm a small boy. There are people senior to me. And I talked with them. And they said, some of them said, the extensive powers will be assigned to National Water Resources Regulatory Commission. The powers should be decentralized to states and catchment management offices. Then the states in a CM, that is catchment management office, should contribute funds to run it with assistance from federal government and aid agencies. They just shouldn't be there, just be there. Those who are meant to fund it. So if Ogun State and Lagos State want to form a catchment management office for a particular aquifer, a particular area, they should contribute the seed money. Then modalities should be practiced in catchment areas like practice in salt catchment areas like Tennessee Valley Authority, Niger Basin Authority, of which Nigeria is a member. Nigeria is a member of the Niger Basin Authority and the Lake Chad Basin Commission. The way they run things between Nigeria and other countries in Niger Basin Authority should be the way federal government should do with it is in running the affairs of our water management. Next slide. Acknowledgement. I wish to thank the management and staff of CED for inviting discussion on finding the appropriate regulatory framework to develop and manage Nigeria water resources in a sustainable manner. As I have discussed fully, water is too important. Water is life. Water crosses every aspect of our lives, our agriculture, our industries, everything. So we should have input, and especially I'm not so happy that the states, even the private sector, are not coming in to have input into the bill, because it's something that is going to control our lives now and the life of our children in the next 20, 30 years. So they should have input. They need to have input. They need to study it and have input, not just sit down and then when it comes and things go bad, we start complaining. Please, water is too important. And I want to thank CED for realizing the fact that water is important, water is life, and that this type of discussions will be here. Thank you very much. Next slide, I think that is, thank you very much for listening. Jesus Christ. Thank you very much. Oh. Oh. Jesus Christ. Oh. I'm through.
Right, Dr. Thank you very much. Unfortunately, I was listening to you through different devices because I didn't want to lose things. But in my laptop, this guy just decided to mute me, so I couldn't attend to you very quickly. But I listened very carefully to this conversation and your presentation. Like I've always said, Dr. Eteri is when you talk about geology, when you talk about water resources in this country or anywhere in the world, Dr. Eteri is a masterpiece. And I wasn't expecting anything less from this presentation, because I do believe that he's called the attention of government. He's called the attention of different organizations and regulatory agencies to look at the issue of water from the point of view of importance. Importance is the sense that water is life. And as we know, United Nations also celebrate Water Day every year, so which attach so much importance to the issue of water. And we should take it from that perspective. We introduced Water Resources Conference and Exhibition in 1995, and we are reviewing it again. So as much as possible, we will ensure that this particular platform is reintroduced in the coming year. And somehow will we be able to bring this discussion to a larger audience, in an audience where we will have people to be able to make more contribution physically, hoping that this COVID-19 will have we will have, at least to a very large extent, we know it to be here for a long time, but we will have to a large extent put it behind us some time, and we are moving on. We were already moving on, but now, we're possible. Dr. Oteri, I don't know if the people from the other side are available now. All right. We will come back to Dr. Oteri for question and answers and all of that. But I think for so far, we've gotten enough notes to be able to continue this conversation. I'll come back to you again, Dr. Oteri.
Well, thank you very much. I think we can move on now to talk from the point of view of the diaspora. And I think that I'm told Mr. Akinribi is around. If he's with us, please, can you signify so that we can bring you in to properly discuss this? While we're discussing the issue of diaspora, what is important in this nation today, and like I said earlier on, when Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa introduced that bill, introduced the bill at the National Assembly. Today, by providence, she is the one implementing the bill after it's been passed into law and the commission has been set up. What actually is the mandate of that particular commission? First of all, we've had Dr. Oteri speak about water bill. This bill is still being debated on at the National Assembly. It's been coming on back and forth. People don't understand it. So sometimes when we set up some platforms in this country, many people get lost in the whole process. But I do know that the Diaspora Commission has a mandate. And in addition to the mandate I saw a few days ago, when she was, Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa was paying a condolence to two Nigerians that had recently passed on in the United States, in Texas, for instance, the doctor and his wife. Beyond condolences, beyond intervention, beyond so many of these things that we see, there must be so many other things that we'll talk about the Diaspora Commission and also what it's supposed to do. For instance, it's been introduced now that the remittances from diaspora can be used by any of the, people, you can get Naira. So many things are going on. Policy needed to be looked at. Policy needed to be rejigged. So I guess that's why we put this particular aspect of it on the Inside Business Commendation Award. And it's a leadership conference. But like I said, unfortunately, because of the new normal, we quickly had to change this thing to virtual. So let me invite right now Mr. Akinribido, the representative of Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa, to speak to this topic of the diaspora issue.
Good morning, all.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Good morning, all. Is it okay if I confirm if I can be heard? Is anybody hearing me? Okay. Right. My name is Ayodele Akinribido. I am the head of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission in Lagos, representing Mrs. Abike Dabiri-Erewa today. And first off, let me establish few facts. I am not endowed with the gift of speech like Mama Abike Dabiri. I'm still a young man under our tutelage. So please permit me if I get a bit distorted, everything will be normalized as we go on. Yes, I will be speaking within a short period about the diaspora contribution in Nigeria. And I think it is straightforward in that I joined the commission the better part of a year ago, and I can tell you that I have received no fewer than, I need to be precise here, sir, so I need to look at my records, no fewer than 578 returnees and traffic victims into the country, not just into the country, integrating them back into the society, most of them being given skills, jobs, and even a place to live. And all this happened under the leadership of Mama Abike Dabiri. People like us call her Mama. We call her Mama because in the first language I speak, Mama means mother. And it's not in my place to begin to educate you, sirs, what mother or motherhood means. Professor, the chief that introduced Professor was talking about 1995, and I flashed back to 1995, and I tried recalling where I was and what I was doing in 1995, only for me to say, oh, I'm still a small boy. But that said, is anybody still listening to me? Can people hear me?
Listening to you. Yeah,
right,
we are listening to you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. 2020 has been challenging. There's no doubt about that. The challenges of 2020 did not just adversely affect every facet of life globally. It consumed life globally. And the Diaspora Commission, key into this, initiated a policy that instituted that all remittances, as mentioned earlier, all remittances should now be paid or collected in the currency of remittance. And the reasons why this policy has not been initiated for long is so baffling, because we got to understand that it's less than 30 entities benefiting from this anomaly, so to say, because it's an economic anomaly. Because if this policy has been in place, say in 2 or 3 years down the line, Naira will have been stronger today. Without the diaspora remittances, millions of Nigeria would have been able to sustain themselves, you know, and we can give part of this kudos to Mama Abike Dabiri for initiating this policy alongside Central Bank of Nigeria and the National Assembly. Yes, the National Assembly played a vital role in institutionalizing this policy, and we hope and pray that such will continue. We have also contributed, like I expanding on my first point, on bringing back in and integrating returnees and rescue victims back into the society. And just not integration. We do not just stop there. We do what is called a follow-up to know if they are not going to be retrafficked, to know if nobody will begin to exploit them in the society, because you see, especially the feminine gender, they are easily exploitable. Recently, which is shocking to me, we now discovered that there are more men, well, not men, there are more masculine genders been sexually trafficked out of Nigeria for sex trafficking purposes. When the statistics came to us, personally, I was shocked because my take is, well, sexual trafficking is women. We are now discovering people that between the ages of 10 and 35, people are more trafficked, more men are being trafficked for sexual purposes than women. And I'm yet to comprehend, I'm yet to understand why that is the case. Maybe during the question and answers, if that is because I should know, but believe me, I do not know why that is happening. So in continuation, the integrated traffic victims and returnees, we have pushed to give them jobs. We have pushed to give them so that they will be for skill acquisition. And just even during the pandemic, we concluded a collaboration with the Nigerian Directorate of Employment and the Nigerian Immigration Service so that all the returnees and trafficked victims will go through a specialized protocol system so that once they come in, they fast track their processes. From there, hand them over almost immediately to us. Then we will register them immediately with the Nigerian Directorate of Employment under about 6 or 7 skills acquisition. And although we still have some pending cases, particularly in the Middle East, for traffic victims, that is what I will call the hotbed of trafficking for slavery exploitation, for sexual exploitation. But I'm sure this present government is working assiduously towards making sure all is well and all is settled. So for me to conclude, what has the Nigerian Diaspora Commission contributed? We have contributed economically, we have contributed making sure that the Naira is stronger by institutionalizing the policy of remittances should be collected in the currency that is being remitted with. I hope I've established a point, and I hope I have done justice to representing Mama Abike Dabiri in a way that is well-founded. I'll stop there for now. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayodele. I hope you can hear me. Thank you very much.
I can hear you.
Yes. Thank you very much. You see, that's where information is key. All right. When these type of things happen, that the remittances, and when you're sending money from the US, for instance, to Nigeria, and you go to the bank and they only give you Naira, and now you can collect it in US dollars. We never knew that it actually was an initiative of your commission, with CBN. So,
Mama Abike Dabiri fought tooth and nail for the past, when the pandemic began to hit in, and Naira became a free fall. There was a time, sir, if you recall, Naira was close to 504 Naira
exactly.
to $1. She was the one that went to Governor Emefiele and said, "Excellency, sir, if this is not done, we are looking at 600 to 750 Naira." And I will not mention entities, and I'm sure we all know them. What ensued? There was battle. Less than 30 entities benefiting from people, forcing people to collect Naira. So forcing people to exchange their hard currency on terms and conditions that is not favorable to the beneficiary, but only favorable to less than 30 entities. Abike Dabiri put all our integrity, and we are where we are now.
Yeah, I mean, I see. That's why I said, information is key. Some of us may not even know that this was the initiative of the commission, because you see, what is very important is the fact that we know I mean, I wouldn't know why I should send $10,000 to Nigeria, and somebody will tell me will give me 10,000, in naira for value when I didn't send naira. But these are policies that we know can take place in this country. But somehow somebody will have to get up, and she got up and discovered that this opening was being exploited by even the banks. All right, and then say that we need, even the banks. So there's no point. You see, we need to point fingers where the fingers should go. The banks were benefited tremendously from that particular process, and because they were benefiting, they will fight to ensure, because these same dollars they now sell it at the higher rate to other people. So see, that's why some of us keep querying the issue of how many exchange rate window do we have in this country? Why can't we just have a unified exchange rate and move on like any other country? But we keep doing certain things. I must give her kudos for doing that. At least I'm getting that information today. All right. I must give her kudos for making that possible, because I'll be honest with you, that is a very, very important achievement for that commission. But people thought that the commission is about somebody is kidnapped and they take him to Lebanon, you bring them back and all of that. So I think we are going to.
Sorry to interject you, sir. As a matter of fact, the act that sets us up, our core mandate is to go to the diaspora and bring in investments from well-established and successful Nigerians that are living in diaspora, investments in terms of commerce, sports, business, yes, pharmaceuticals, medical science, every manufacturing, agriculture, the mechanized form of it, every investment whatsoever from single diasporans that are successful. Answer, you'll be shocked. Let me tell you this. We have about, on our record now, about 659 diasporans living outside of Nigeria that are billionaires. Billionaires through manufacturing, invention, creativity, agro processing, tomato processing, car manufacturing, NASA, that's the airspace, US. Yeah. One of the key mathematicians is a guy from Abia State. Without his algorithm, recently, and I think he works for a company called SpaceX, if I'm not mistaken. One of the key guys that worked for Pfizer in making sure the vaccine is successful in record time is also from Abia State, if I'm not mistaken. He had a webinar with Mama last week for almost 3 hours. Sir, every 600 plus Nigerians in the diaspora all have one thing in common. At one time in their life, they have all been rejected by Nigeria. This is where the diaspora comes in. This is where the Diaspora Commission comes in to act as a trusted bridge builder, to act as a trusted gulf shrinker. That look, gone are the days where a country in Asia will behead a Nigerian for no just cause because they needed the statistics. Gone are the days where a Nigerian will just be locked up for no just cause because you think is a Nigerian and their government, the successive government in time past has always been lackadaisical in their approach towards the welfare of their citizenry. Mama Abike Dabiri, she has always warned us to be careful, not to overbloat or overhype achievements. She will always say every achievement and every life belongs to God. So that I will not find myself within that realm of overbloating, because she calls herself an mere mortal, an ordinary human, so that we will not overbloat her. Let me just, keep quiet again and give you the floor, sir.
No, you see, I mean, it's not really, we should give praises to what God says. God says we should always give praises when it is necessary in everything we do. For me, this morning now, for instance, I've learned that it was through the effort of the commission. Because you are saying you are staying back from, singing her praises. It's awesome, all right? As much as possible, it was all our effort that the bill was even initiated in the first instance. It was all our effort that she fought tooth and nail, even while she was not in the National Assembly, ensuring that the bill was passed and signed into law. And the achievement of that particular establishment made her an influential woman in this world, all right? Because everywhere in the world, when something happened to any Nigerian, she has to listen. I said it a few days ago, 2 Nigerians died, husband and wife in Texas, and she quickly sent out the condolence messages. She's on ground. She's on ground, and people should appreciate that. You understand? It's not about praising her or what have you. But
she sent officers to Uganda. She sent officers to Uganda to go and activate lawyers and advocate the fact that on what basis would Nigerians that are in your country on a legitimate basis be arrested for no just cause? For no just cause. She financed the legal proceedings. She financed their return ticket back home. I personally welcomed them back home. I think they returned back home on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm sure you may have read the news, sir.
Yeah.
In the tabloids. 2 international artists from Nigeria were jailed in Uganda for no just cause. So that's part of, our contribution so far. And I can assure you, sir, she still has a lot to offer. In every facet of the Nigerian life.
I think basically what we can just say, if you know that definitely an American was kidnapped, one single American was kidnapped, okay? And they had to send SEAL. They had to send some of the special squads. If you touch any American anywhere, if you touch any Americans anywhere in the world, you have touched the whole of America. That's the spirit. And that's the spirit we believe she's bringing into this whole system. That's the spirit she's bringing into this system. And for me, I believe that is an awesome achievement. And that is an awesome conversation. And that is something that every Nigerian should appreciate. So I want to commend the commission for this. We will come back again and still take some questions and all of that and clarifications. But we just have to move on now to some other things. And also we want to ask people now to also talk through the paper presented by Dr. Oteri. If we have anyone here, my IT people, you must be able to give me a sign or give me a paper for people to make contributions, and also to tell me who are on this platform speaking or actually being part of it. We have quite a number of people here now, so but we need to know so that we can move on to speak to the discussion before we move to the next stage of the thing, which is the presentation of awards. We have come to the conversation aspect of this, so I mean, people are feel free to make comments. We should feel free to make comments. We should feel free to speak.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Professor Sandy Popola, Imperial College London. Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Oteri, for that wonderful presentation regarding, water availability, the issue of sourcing water in our country. I totally agree with everything you said. And water scarcity is not just in Nigeria or Africa, it's all over the world. Soon, we're going to be in so much problem if we don't start creating solution now. The world population keeps increasing despite all the people who have died from COVID. Come January, more babies will be born, and we will continue to source for water everywhere. The same thing with food. We don't have enough food all over the world. But Africa is in such a unique position that there's enough water in that continent and there's enough land to produce food in that continent. So we need to take advantage of it. We shouldn't be in a position where we have to be, importing water from other country, bottled water, or even food from any other country. So we're in a good position. We should take advantage of it. Our government should encourage us, it should support us so that we'll continue to really develop things in advance. We have technology, we have ideas, we have know-how that we could leapfrog every other developed country and start doing things the way that benefits us so that we could then support everybody else in the world. So that's my comment on that. Coming to the diaspora, I live in London. I've been living in London for so many years. And I know Honorable Abike very well. She's like a sister to me. The work she's doing is fantastic, but I don't think it's enough. Yeah, if you know the amount of the colleague that just said just now, the amount of remnant that's been sent from overseas diaspora into Nigeria is more than the Nigerian budget in some years. So why can't we and it's do something with this money? Even the diaspora themselves, why are you sending this money in bit by bit? Why don't you create a bank or put this money somewhere and impact your country with that massive money to be able to create investment, develop infrastructure, things that any country needs. Nigeria is lacking because there's not enough money. Or should I say, because we're spending our money on the wrong thing, like paying, politicians. I've never seen any country in the world that pay their politicians so much. And these politicians are doing absolutely nothing. I've said it to them several times, and I will say it to them again. If I were them, especially in this COVID era, they should all reduce their salary by 50%. Even that 50%, also they don't deserve it. So that all these people dying, all these people that are having problem raising their children, living, feeding, they should be able to say, my government did something for me. No, we're just consuming all these 70, 80% of our resources into paying salary. This is wrong. We cannot sustain it. This country cannot be like that forever. We have to change. So take the diaspora. My colleague, my friend, my brother just now list the name of people who are doing wonderful things in diaspora. I'm an engineer. I can start naming names of engineers in the UK that are at the forefront of engineering development. And yet we're not able to capture their knowledge and bring it home and use it. This is sad. This is disgusting. Medical doctor, accountant, you name it. They're full of them here, dying to come home. But when they come home, what do they get? Harassment. What do they get? Oh, you don't belong here. What do they get? No, you are there. It's rubbish. We've been doing this way for so many years. You can't just come to us and tell us how to do it. No, we need to embrace them. How do you think London transport, the underground system was developed? By foreign people coming in to help them. How do you think the medical association in America is so good now? Go and look at the list and see the amount of Nigerians in the medical association in USA. So Nigeria needs to wake up. I don't know who our leaders are. I don't know who's running the country, but they need to wake up because they're losing out on so many fantastic things. I want to come to Nigeria tomorrow and reshape the housing crisis in Nigeria. I have system, I have opportunity, things I've done in UK, I've done in Singapore, I've done in South Korea to change the housing problem, to address the housing problem and make sure you could have a house within 3 weeks of paying for it. Yeah, it's called modern method of construction. Other countries have embraced it and it works. Coming to Nigeria, no, they don't want it. Oh, that. I said, why? It works in other countries. At least try it out. And then when you get to the government, we don't have the budget. You don't have the budget for what? What are you using your budget for? Paying politicians? No. So we need to wake up. That's all my comment on that. We need to wake up. What Mrs. Abike is doing is fantastic, but she has the power. She can turn things around. She can move things. She can shake them up. I'm sure she's bold enough. But with all these due respect and all these things, we get away with so many things. So Nigeria needs to wake up, yeah, and embrace diaspora and turn that country to the developed country that it should have been. No, go just around the corner to Ghana. The moment you hit the airport, you know you're in a different country. Talk less of the city, of the people, and the hotel facilities, amazing. You think you're in Park Lane Hotel when you go to one of the top hotels in Accra. Well, trying to look for the same thing in Nigeria, you don't see it. So please, I'm not standing upset. I'm just eager to do something in that country if the opportunity is given. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. I think Mr. Ayodele, you want to answer him. Mr. Ayodele.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Yes, you wanted to answer him. Yes.
In few seconds, I appreciate the doctor from England that just spoke. And let me just, and he expressed few concerns. Mama Abike Dabiri has established what is called the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Fund, like a special purpose vehicle just to address the concerns you mentioned and listed, sir. And by the third quarter of 2021, he wants to establish like a special fund different from the one I just mentioned, that because for more than 50 years, it is only 3 multinational corporations that are benefiting from remittances through commissions. Those are the MoneyGrams of this world, Western Union of this world, and one other one that must not be mentioned because I still remain a civil servant. That said, your concerns are legitimate and germane. There is the Nigerian Diaspora Investment Fund that will be initiated come January, and by the third quarter, there's going to be a multi-purpose fund too that will make sure the Diaspora Remittances Commission is not enjoyed by Western corporations, but by indigenous corporations for the benefit of Nigerians and for the development of Nigerians. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. We are still welcoming some conversation. Yeah, we are still welcoming opinions from everyone. So if you have any comments, please can you signify? We have 2 topics that's been laid down. One is on the Diaspora E-Commission and its the things they do and how they apply its services. The second one is on the water resources bill and all those things. So if you have any comment, please can you come forward and let's hear from you. Well, while we wait for that, I would like to, I don't know if Dr. Oteri, can you unmute Dr. Oteri? I need to ask him a question. Dr. Oteri, if you can help to unmute Dr. Oteri, so I need to ask Dr. Oteri a question. Is it back now? I see that, you know. Okay, maybe if Dr. Terry, while we are waiting for him, you can unmute Mr. Ayodele. Let me ask him my own question before we move on. My question to Ayodele would be that the question I would like to ask you, you talked about special purpose vehicle to drive investment and that will be used on certain projects by Nigerians who are overseas and want to invest in Nigeria. The UK has talked about, say, for instance, a housing project. I do know that government teach, because you know we've been publishing for CED magazine for several years and we are in this industry. we've always preached that government has no business building houses for anybody, but government can make the enabling environment possible for me to own the land and also build a house and use the mortgages to own my own home. When he is talking about the budget, what are people doing with the budget? And if he says you will need to bring money, I'm sure maybe he didn't understand some of the concerns of some of us, that we are not asking government to build for us. We are asking government to provide an enabling environment for people to be able to do mortgages. All right. So your fund that is coming, I want to believe is not to be given to anybody to go and buy a house, but for investment. If I'm right, Mr. Yodele, the one you are proposing.
Indeed, sir.
Yes. So it will be for people that can pay back these funds, but to assist them in moving forward while to bridge the gap between not having now and having tomorrow, and not
Yes, sir.
necessarily about. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
In association with the Central Bank of Nigeria, absolutely, sir. You sound as if you are one of the consultants that wrote the proposal for us. Yes, absolutely.
Now, the other concern why you are working on this proposal, there are government officials, including governors, especially Governor Rufai, who is a quantity surveyor. He has suggested recently that CBN is getting too much into commercial banking. And I mean, I'm just sharing this opinion. And then the agricultural sector is also saying they are getting too much into alcohol borrowers programs and all of that. But CBN should concentrate more in providing the policies, regulations, and all of that. By the time PBN starts structuring loans, and then because it doesn't have the capacity to lend, they now use a bank. All right. You know, I mean, I don't know what is in the proposal given to you. I just hope that the institutions that is currently in place for mortgages, which is Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria and the Federal Housing Authority, are in the know or in the picture of some of these policies you're going to come up with, especially for the housing sector. For other investment, you know, the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria and so many other organizations like that. I want to believe that they're also taken into cognizance in terms of the documentations and the proposal you are putting together.
They are indeed, sir. Federal Housing Authority, under the leadership of the new managing director, the former distinguished senator, is one of our strong partners in this. As a matter of fact, as we speak, I just got a message from Mama on the other phone. She said she's been struggling to connect, so probably she wants to join herself.
Okay. No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I think it's the conversation has been quite enlightening enough because, like I said, for me, I you know, especially on this issue of remittances and also some of the things you say you're doing, I mean, people out there need to know, and I'm just believing that going forward there will be that opportunity to share this with a larger Nigerian to understand the enormous responsibilities and achievement within a short period what this commission has done. And I believe that I've been very, very enlightened. You know, Dr. Oteri, if you can help me to unmute Dr. Oteri now.
Yeah,
the question I would like to ask, because you spoke eloquently, you know, as a very passionate person about this subject matter. All right, there is this agitation that if the water resources bill is not passed or is not properly structured, states will be kicking against it. Where do we draw the line between the River Niger that finished, you know, that ends in Onitsha, for instance, and it starts from maybe Kogi and all of that? So, you know, I mean, we are having issues, like, you know, as a geologist, we are having issues even in the oil industry. All right. Instance, in Delta State, Chevron might be here on the other side. the other side of Ondo State. And now you say you are drilling from Ondo to Korikoko, nobody knows. But what we know is that you have done pipelines from somewhere to the other. And there's this issue about the fact that some of these resources may have been coming, from, and some of us who are in this industry also believe that a butterfly flapping its wing in one end of the planet, this can affect the other side of the planet. So the environmental factors of this is not being taken into consideration. So in terms of water resources bill and also the water sector, who takes responsibility from state to state? That's my question to you, Dr. Teresa.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, to Dr. Popola, I am an alumnus of Imperial College. So when I saw Imperial College, I was interested. I was at Imperial College 76, 77, did my MSc there, and I had a nice time. Now, on the question you asked, it's not really that complex because Nigeria, when I say Nigeria, we have been operating this system of whereby it's not what do you call it? Whereby the states are there playing a role, the federal is playing a role. Right from 1960 when we became independent to 1993, or even to now when this new bill is coming in. When I mean to now, even though we have a 1993 decree, it was not really very effective. The states were still playing major roles in water resources. But the new bill, if it's to be carried as it is, the federal will be doing so much more. The states will just be appendages. And in a way, it will be, like as MKO said, a case where the states are holding the head of the cap and the federal government is making it. What I'm saying that is, if the Federal Regulatory Commission comes in and says they are going to be in charge of doing the regulation of the boreholes, they are those going to say, okay, a driller to register, you should pay 10 naira. For a borehole owner, you should pay 5 naira. All that money is going to the catchment management office and then to the commission. This should be the states. But one thing we should also know that water is life. You are not going to look at water as gold, that there is an avenue for you to be making some money there. The real aim of regulating, of all this borehole regulation, is for data collection and management so that we know what is happening. Take a place like Ikeja. During the heydays when industries were working and there were studies that time, it was found that water level in Ikeja was going down because there were too many companies pumping it, too many industries pumping it. Now, with very few industries here, the water has gone up because it's dynamic, it moves, it changes. But that time it was going down. And that is where you need to have information on where the boreholes are, how much is this pumping. And actually, let me tell you, a lot of times when consultants, even locally, or even when they bring them from outside, South Africa, France, or Britain, where have you, to come and do a study for, say, Nigerian breweries or Nestle or what have you, they don't bring data from there. They depend on the data here, but you see some of these reports, how much water is being pumped because you need to balance the water coming in from outside to the water going out. I mean, what I mean is water is flowing into, let's say, Lagos, and water is flowing from Lagos because any water in the ground or the ocean or the river, if you don't use them, they are going into the sea. They are flowing into the sea. Yes. So water is flowing into the sea. So water is coming from Ogun State. Then, of course, there is some water here. How much is left here? You want to know. And you want to know how much people are taking, where they are taking. But we don't know how much people are taking. We don't know where their boreholes are. So you cannot say. And you want to be able to say that, okay, this water they are taking, instead of taking 100 liters of water, take 50. So that there is no fall in water level. But you can't say that when you don't know what they are taking. So most of the time they say no data, no data, no data. Even the Japanese, the JICA, Japanese International Cooperation Agency that did the master plan in Nigeria, most of the things they use in analyzing, there was data. How can so when you estimate you use estimates in your report, your final conclusion is estimates. And this is the problem we have. And this is what regulation licensing is meant to plug. In my own opinion, it is best done in states doing the licensing. But they will be using the same system, the same materials, the same whatever, so that there will be exchange of data. And if, for example, you want to study an area in that, let's say you are studying the area around the sharing north between Lagos and Ogun State, then Ogun State people will come, Lagos State people will come, federal experts will come, because there are some experts at federal level who you cannot replicate at state level. So you bring them in and they all put heads together, use all this data, analyze it, and be able to make recommendations that this one should be done. So that is the aim. It's not the aim, it's not making money. But a lot of states look at it as making money. And I think it's wrong. Because, okay, if you say, I'm drilling a borehole, I'm taking water. If I don't drill that borehole and take the water is going to flow out into the sea. It's going to flow out. That is natural. So it's not like you are mining gold or you are mining oil or you are mining bay rice or gold in Elisha or bay rice in Nasarawa State. The water, if you don't use it, will move out. Whether it's in the ground or it's in the river, it will move out of and you will use it. Or it will, if the water is too much, people are not taking it, the water level will rise and it will affect foundations like it does, it can do in places like Victoria Island. So but the important is we need to have information. And in my own opinion, it should be, but there shouldn't be any big controversy. One, there's room for all the birds to fly, number one. Two, even the federal government has experience in that we are relating with the Niger Republic, with Burkina Faso, with Mali, in the Niger Basin Authority, Niger Basin Authority, which is based in Niger. When we are talking of flooding, most of the data comes from Niamey. That's where they tell us what the level of the river is. And once it reaches a certain point, we start knowing, they tell us, look, this river has gone so high. And then the people in Nigeria, in the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, we use that to alert us that, look, water is flowing from Burkina Faso. It has reached Niger, it's at this level. So start preparing. Or if it's on the other side of Cameroon, in the Chad Basin or whatever, they will let us know. So federal can still be taking data on the rivers, on the aquifers. The states will also do that. Even companies, there are companies that do it. There are companies in this country that have data loggers in their boreholes that monitor the water quality and the level of the water. I don't want to mention names, but these are the big companies because they know the value. And even external organs are coming in to say, look, what is happening? And this one disadvantage we have in Nigeria and in Lagos. Right now, there's so many papers flying around, say, okay, what is, I mean, there are studies at ECOWAS level trying to see what is happening to what we call the Keta Basin or the Dahomey Basin, where we are. The road where we are leads, like I said, to Ghana. So they collect data in Ghana, they collect in Togo, they collect in Benin, they want to collect in Nigeria. But in Nigeria, they say, how much water are you taking from the ground? We don't know. What is the level of water? Is it falling? We don't know. While Benin Republic will tell them, Togo will tell them. So you cannot have a general picture. And this is what we need to plug. And the same thing with Sokoto. Sokoto, there's a basin linking Sokoto and Kebbi with the other areas. And the federal, like the Nigerian Hydrological Service, is drilling monitoring boreholes to monitor the groundwater. It has gauges on rivers, but they are not enough. So the states also have to come in. The states have to do a lot in monitoring. Lagos used to do that, but they will do it. They will do it for 1 year and stop. That is wrong. You need to continue to monitor continuously so that when you are building a dam, you have 40-year data. But in Nigeria, you will have a 2-year data, a break of 5 years, then another 2-year data. And when you analyze it, you cannot come to a good conclusion. So you build a dam like Tiga Dam with inadequate data, And the next thing, there's no one is affecting Yobe, Kamaguru, or whatever they call it, the river flowing into Lake Chad. And that's one of the things responsible. I'm not saying that's all, but that's one of the things responsible for the drying up of Lake Chad, because the dams in Kano cut off a lot of the water going to Lake Chad. They want to build another one around Gombe, the Dawan, whatever dam. And if they build it, it will affect Lake Chad more. So you need to collect data and analyze. So federal can be doing some measurement, states will also be doing some measurement, individual companies can be doing, and all this is harmonized. Even at African level right now, there is an organization related to the African Ministers Council on Water that wants to bring data on groundwater from various countries so that we have it in one place and do it continuously and be able to analyze and say and predict what is going to happen, especially in terms of climate change. But in Nigeria, you won't have that data. But the point is, the best thing, in my own opinion, federal should do their own part, states should do there won't be argument. The River Niger coming from Conakry, various countries are measuring. It's just that the Niger Basin Commission will say Nigeria measure the water level, have a measuring point at Lokoja, have another one at Baro, have another one say in Onisha, and then Niger Republic we have. Then they will share all this data. That's what happened. That's what is happening. That's what should happen, even within the country. Hello.
Yeah, Doctor, yes, thank you very much for that. I hope you can hear me now. Dr. Terry, I
hear you.
Okay, thank you very much for that brief of explanation.
I can hear you.
Yes, thank you very much, because that explanation is very, very important. It's very important, especially for this conversation, because everything about water, when you I'm sure you are one of the elders from Niger Delta, and you know what is going on now. So the challenge of where if somebody can buy gold from Zamfara, which is natural resources, why now what is going on in the other side in the Niger Delta that you are telling you cannot buy the oil from us? So so many things are happening. It goes to show the policy deficiency that we have in Nigeria. All right, if CBN is able to take money from the coffers of Nigeria and buy gold, and some things is not just right. So many people get out of their their comfort, their areas, and try to dabble into so many things. That was why I was talking about CBN when we were talking about diaspora, because at the end of the day, CBN wants to do everything. All right, as if you should go out there and compete with the banks. So it doesn't work for policies like this. You should be able to sit where your policy takes you, not to now be formulating policies for conventional banks or specialized development banks. So it's one of the issues that we're talking about. So when the water resources, if eventually get passed, because I know it's facing a lot of challenges. All right, if eventually it gets to be passed and signed into law, I'm sure there will be so many things where the Lagos State Water Corporation, for instance, will be having issues as to who controls my groundwater, who pay, who. Other people, or do I need to pay from here? So these are issues that we are going to be able to resolve and talk about in subsequent conversation. But let me just ask. You will come back to round up on your conversation now, because we'll go to the presentation of our award and then we'll finish, because I know time is of essence. Let me go to Ayodele now to possibly your final words on the position of the Diaspora Commission, the contributions to Nigeria and the economy, and also what are some of the things that that people outside there, like for instance, we have somebody joining from UK now. Some comfort information you need to give to people. Mr. Ayodele, I want you to say your final word, please.
Yes, thank you very much indeed once again, sir. And Diaspora Commission has deliberately set itself on the path of becoming the lifeline of development that is coming into Nigeria. The Diaspora Commission has deliberately set itself up that never again never again in the history of Nigeria that Nigerians will be battered, abused, needlessly and illegitimately imprisoned for no just cause. Nigerian Diaspora Commission is working deliberately round the clock to make sure that the Nigerian passports will be taken off the Committee of Pariahs. Nigerian Diaspora Commission, under the leadership of Abike Dabiri, as a matter of fact, wants to make sure diaspora remittances is not the lifeline of ordinary Nigerian citizens. Because if the third or the three-quarter below level is dependent on diaspora remittances, then something is obviously wrong. We should be dependent on what the GDP, GNI, and those economic terms can provide for Nigerians. So, in conclusion, sirs, Nigeria in Diaspora Commission is ready. It is set for development, for investment, for talent discovering, talent hunting. Because like I earlier mentioned, sir, nearly 700 Nigerians in diasporas, they all have one thing in common: rejected in time past by Nigerians, all for them to go outside of Nigeria and become billionaires, become established figures, and becoming individuals that their home country needs their talent, their creativity, and know-how to progress and develop. If other people can tap into our citizens for forward movement, for development, what is wrong with us? I know we are not cursed. I know we will get there. Slowly but surely, we will definitely get there. Nigeria in Diaspora Commission is ready. We'll do it. We'll continue to do it under the leadership of Abike Dabiri until we get to our promised land. Thank you, sir.
Can you hear me now? I'm sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. I can hear you.
All right. So
Okay. All right. So
I just wanted to thank you
so much
for this about the commission. I'm so informed about the diaspora commission's operations and contribution. People thought in this country that the diaspora commission is when they are repatriating people and got into at the airport. There are so many things that's going on the ground that many Nigerians are not aware of. Let me say a very big you for sharing your thoughts to us today with us today. For me, I've been enlightened. I'm sure Dr. Oteri too has been enlightened and did understand, now that the Diaspora Commission is doing very well. Let me go back to Dr. Oteri, for his final words on this water resources bill. Dr. Oteri, can you unmute Dr. Oteri?
Okay, I'm unmuted now.
Okay, so for me, I think, let me thank you very much for this presentation. Like we said, when we were first discussing this, we thought that we could have this conference in a physical environment. But unfortunately, with its changing times now, and with the, the pandemic that they say some are already resurfacing again. So we didn't just want it to pass without having this conversation today. But I can assure you for the first quarter of next year, hoping that beyond the bill, the bills are most important information because you need laws to act. But beyond the bill, we've heard on about it, all right? And then
lost sound.
You know, there's a commission, all right? There's a commission to back up the bill. And that has given a very strong backing, you know, to the commission itself. For me, I think that was needed because a bill is a bill. If the bill is not implemented and nothing happens, you know, it's like we haven't done anything. So that's why I will keep commending Abikedi Dabiri for you know the effort she has put in to ensure that that bill got a commission. You know, so to that extent, I would like you to say your final words by way of what's needed to be done in relation to the bill, as it were, and when it is eventually passed, because it's not passed. And like I said, you know, it's facing a lot of hurdles.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me also thank you again for bringing this to the
get all over the places. And this bill was in the 7th Assembly.
Yeah. Can I talk? Let me thank you once again for organizing this and bringing these discussions up. A very good forum.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
And I believe more people should come in and discuss it. Like I said, the states, I mean, need to really come in and look at it. The professional groups have looked at it. I mean, I know that the Nigerian Association of Hydrogeologists had a panel discussion. The Nigerian Institute of Water Engineers had also come in, and some other groups. But I think the state governments also need to come and discuss the bill as well. Like I said, and I keep saying, we need a law regulating water resources. And this is a very good, I mean, we should support it. The licensing, like I mentioned in my paper, is not something to argue about. They are very strong, technical, and every reason why we should license boreholes, we should license abstraction. The charges they are charging can be, you know, tinkered with. I mean, the authorities shouldn't look at water as if it's a revenue yielding form of thing, but there's a need to licensing bonds and all that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's done all over the world. It has been done in this country before. The only few things is whether we are running a federal system whereby states play a major role in the governance structure, or we are running a unitary system like the police or wherever, or where they tell you the governor is the security chief of a state, but he cannot even order a police private to do anything, to go to Abuja. So basically that is it. In a federal state, like I showed, and I gave many examples, and America is there too, I mean Australia, everywhere. They run a different system, and you can still do your catchment management of water resources in a federal state, and it's being done, and it's been done before some of us were born, and it's being improved. You can also do it in a state like where it's just one central government. But the bill is, we need a bill to regulate water, we need a bill to collect data and manage our water, and there won't be any conflict. But states have to play a more prominent role than what the federal is doing. We should go back to where states are, where the water is in the concurrent list, not exclusive. That is my take. Thank you very much for this opportunity, and it's been interesting hearing about the diaspora remittances, because some of us who are old and depend on our children, that's where we eat, and we eat bread every month, and every month we are waiting for them. So thank you so much. Merry Christmas, everybody. Okay, moderator. Oh.
Thank you, Dr. Oteri. You know, I must thank you very much for lending your voice to this particular conversation. For me, I've always known that, you know, Dr. Oteri will do justice to this document, to this particular topic, and we are extremely happy that you're able to do it. Just as I said, we were supposed to have this conversation first quarter in 2021. We will look at the window and possibly bring out these things on a physical level. This needs to be, state government needs to understand the things from the perspective of a private sector, because when you hear things from government, people believe that government wants to take money from all of us, and every rain that falls from the sky can use any buckets to carry it, and then, you know, do whatever you like with it. But when someone has to do a pipe and treat water from their mains, just like the Adiyan Water Works, and then pass it on to Ikorodu and all of that, and you get it in your house, it cannot be free. Somebody must be paying for those services. And I would like to look at it. So many of these things, and then if there's a notion that's feeling from Niger up to in Onitsha, people to say, okay, this is my own portion of it, and then something must be laid. Otherwise, people think that, look, they are regulating water again. For God's sake, if I go to swim now, somebody will have to come and pay money because I want to swim in the water. So a lot of so, and some of us who are from the riverine area, we've always known how to fish all our lives, you know. So what we do is we just carry the boat and enter the sea or enter the ocean and go and fish. Before you know it, somewhere will tell us that you can't pass this boundary because you are fishing, you know. So a lot of things had to do with water. You know, I'm hoping that by the grace of God, we'll be able to find a common ground to make this a very important, you know, resource for us that it is. Thank you very much, Dr. Oteri. And then while I'll now do a bit of introduction of the next line. I'll ask my guys to put together the award ceremony, the award plaque that we need to present to the personalities here. Dr. Oteri, you will get our certificate for presentation. We appreciate you. And by the grace of God, and next year we'll be able to do physical things, including the environment. We are also concerned about the environment. That was why I said if a butterfly flap his wing in China, it affects what is happening in Canada. You know, so the world now is a global village, and every action of one person affects the other. So we'll also be talking about the environment. Now, the next session of this conversation this morning, as we're rounding off, is a presentation of CED Forum Award. CED Forum Award, we decided to limit this year's edition to just one organization that we believe has done exceedingly well. And usually we have multiples, but this year we just don't want to crowd the space with so many things. But I think that our friend from UK, don't worry, you will see on some of this. Never mind. But I will still come back to you in a comment. But let's just, I will still come back to you, Dr. Popoola. Never mind. You will have the, your take as as soon as we finish this this particular portion of the thing. So if our people are ready, CED Forum Awards started in 1993, and it's in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. And it actually starts in, and he, as he wanted us to create, when we introduced CED magazine, form where we can bring people together to deliberate on issues that we are talking now, like for instance water resources, and be able to now find some common grounds in terms of how it and the private sector can work together. I think that was what brought about the CED Forum Award in 1993, and he personally initiated it at Sheraton Hotels and Towers, and we continue to give. I mean, he is late now, but that was somebody that we know was passionate about the infrastructure sector in Nigeria. At that period, he established national housing policy, and he also established the construction policy. These are documents that we've been calling professional there, and make it into a document that can be sent to National Assembly as a bill to be passed. Because that document, what one of them does is that it gives that that national construction policy. It's indigenous in design, that no projects, sensitive projects in Nigeria, like the CBN building, like the National Assembly, like the villa, should not be a place where you give to just any contractor apart from Nigerians. Those are some of the things contained in those documents. But because it has not been passed into law, because we're operating a democracy, so that kind of document is just lying there somewhere. But there is a national construction policy. Anyone in this platform that wants to have it, you are free to let me know. We have a copy of it, and then we can also let you have it. But I can tell you that that document is available. The National Construction Policy and the National Housing Policy. It was actually debated and also established during the military era by Major General Mama Kotangora at that time. And I can tell you it is a document that must be looked at. And that was how the CED Forum Award was initiated by Major General Mama Kotangora in partnership with the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing. And we are still keeping to that spirit. Today we have just one award. And like I said, we've limited it to just one because we don't want to crowd the place this year. The new normal and everything, but we just can't go on without having this award this year. And we have gone ahead to look for a very, based on the nomination paper that went out, after sorting out just one personality. His name is Engineer Emmanuel Ajibola Obakin. He's a fellow of Nigerian Society of Engineers. And if we can have his award now on screen, and I'm sure he is also joining us for this presentation. The award on screen now. I want to see it. I want to be able to see it so that, but I'm not seeing the award. Exactly. Now I can see the award. This is the 2020 CED Forum Award of Excellence. All right. And professional service engineering, presented to Engineer Emmanuel Ajibola Obakin. He is a fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. His organization, Ifakino, is doing extremely well in terms of infrastructure sector in Nigeria. And for him to be standalone today, I think, I want to say very big thank you to Engineer Emmanuel Ajibola Obakin, fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers. Congratulations for receiving this award today. And I believe that by the January edition of the magazine, you will grace the cover of the magazine as the sole recipient as a sole recipient, in other words, the person of the year for CED magazine, we will be able to have a very important conversation with you, and then you grace the cover of CED magazine for the January edition. You've done well for the industry. You've done well for the infrastructure sector, for the engineering family. Congratulations to Engineer Emmanuel Ajibola Obaki, Fellow of the Nigerian Society of Engineers, as you receive this 2020 CED Forum Award of Excellence in Professional Service. Thank you very much. Now, let me go to the IBCA. Also, IBCA, just one organization, because we decided to focus more on the facility management sector this period, the facility management. And just one company stood out because, you know, with the pandemic, with the NSAS, the activities of the facility management sector became very important because they needed to re-energize the operations. They needed to also strategize in terms of how things are done. When you have to go to a particular place now, you now sanitize your hand. You now have to be able to wear face mask. You have to do all that. And facility management managers are the ones that will have to go to places to get the whole, you know, the whole place in order. So if we can have the award, the plaque for Global Property and Facility International Limited out on the screen, so that we can properly present this award to Global Property and Facility International Limited. We must commend this particular organization because during the pandemic, you discover that the facility management could not close. They have to be on, you have to be on duty. You have to be working. And because people need your services at this time. And on behalf of Inside Business Africa and Inside Business Commendation Award Committee, I'd like to congratulate Global Partner Property and Facility International Limited as you receive this very important award, the Inside Business Commendation Award 2020. Now, thank you very much. Thank you very much. The next award, this year, we decided to recognize two personalities with the most influential women in Nigeria. Most influential women in Nigeria. Now, it couldn't have come at a better time than now. If you've had the things that the Diaspora Commission had done, you've seen the things that the Diaspora Commission has done within a short time, especially with the exchange rates regime in terms of remittances and many other things. If we can have the award for Mrs. Honorable Mrs. I forgot to put with her because it was a honorable member of the House of Representatives, Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa. She is a veteran journalist, someone we always look up to, someone we admire so massively. This personality changed the face of journalism at a point in terms of investigative journalism, and everybody loved Newsline at that time, and we understand that. For us who are in this business, we believe that in the business of communication, we believe that this personality has changed the narratives and has made it possible for Nigeria, moving from journalism now into understanding how Nigerians in diaspora should be respected and be treated. We want to appreciate Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa with the most influential women in Nigeria. She is a very important and influential woman in Nigeria, the chairman of the chairperson of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. Congratulations to Honorable Mrs. Abike Dabiri Erewa. Thank you very much. And I believe that by now, you know, you will have got to understand what effort she has put in to ensure that particular commission is up and running. The second award to Ju Ifejika. Mrs. Ju Ifejika is the CEO and the founder of Britannia U. Britannia U fought a case with multinationals about the oil block. She fought with multinationals for several years and never gave up because she believes that it was her right to fight. It was her right to ensure that what has been given to her, if we can have her plug on the screen, she must have it. And to that extent, eventually she won the case. And today, this is one Nigerian that is into EPZ. You know, when we talk about exploration exploration. It's not something that is easy to do exploration. There are just about 2 women in that industry as we speak. We have, there are just about 2 women that are into exploration. There are others are into other areas, gas and the rest of them. But Ifejika into the exploration, and Alakija is also in the exploration aspect of the oil and gas industry. We want to commend Mrs. Catherine Uju Ifejika, who is the chairman CEO of Britannia U Energy Resources Limited. These are 2 personalities that we know can fight for Nigeria and can fight for everything that is Nigeria with all their veins. And we must commend you most warmly for making this possible. Thank you very much. That's all we have to do about the awards. And this award will be personally presented to the recipient because of the new normal. And if we were Sheraton, we would have been able to do this the way it should be done. But because of the new normal, we have to do this here. But we know that they can still accommodate 2-3 people in their offices. So we'll be able to do the presentation formally as soon as we confirm a date for the presentation. I must thank you very much for that particular session of the presentation. And I must commend you for that. I would like to ask Akin if he's with us in this conversation to also speak to us. Engineer Emmanuel Ajibola Obakin, is he with us? If he's with us, I know that he's it's all the way from Ibadan. But while we prepare him to speak, let me go to our friend Dr. Pukwola in the UK. Dr. Pukwola, I think you were yearning to still make some comments about either the diaspora or the water resources bill and what Nigerians should do. So, because some of us, I lived in the United States for a long time in Houston, Texas, and I know how things are done in terms of infrastructure-wise. And I know we have so many Nigerians, professionals in that particular axis of the US that wants to do something for Nigeria, wants to come home. But don't be deterred. Start. You see, the failure is about not starting anything. When you start and you nurture it, will grow. So, Dr. Akpokwola, go ahead and speak.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that opportunity. Just to congratulate CED and everybody for putting these amazing meetings together, the seminar, workshop, or whatever you want to call it. Fantastic. We should have this often. We should have this regularly. The more you talk, the more you achieve. If you keep quiet, you're basically not doing anything. So well done. Thank you very much for that. Diaspora, yes. I think one of the things the government could do for us, we in diaspora, we're so powerful. I'm not sure whether the government is even scared of us. They should give us the opportunity to establish a venue to kick out all these money transfer companies and set up our own. If you know the commission this company gets from sending $10 or £10 to Nigeria, you'll be amazed. And they don't return, as far as I know, they don't return any of it back to the federal government. If they give us the opportunity to set up our own initiative, our own company, whereby any commission will charge the citizen for transferring money, goes and develop and it contributes toward this infrastructure fund that Mr. Akinrio Bido has spoke about on that Madam Bikedabiri. So those are just my little contribution. We have a lot that we could contribute to Nigeria if we're given the opportunity. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Yodele, he just threw the ball into your court. I mean, maybe it's something that the Diaspora Commission could look at in terms of going forward, that you can set up a platform in the likes of MoneyGram or money transfer. And but I mean, I think you will be able to work in collaboration with some of the, brilliant Nigerians who are abroad there to set up the apps, and then you can actually be able to monitor. And some of the things will be getting back to us. So, Mr. Yodele, do you want to say something to that?
Thank you very much again, Engineer Popola. Yeah, it's actually in the works. Last year, we had a meeting with Western Union, MoneyGram, and one other one that, we are not allowed to mention. And Western Union were honest enough to say on an annual basis, they make $7 billion from Nigeria, remittances. That's the commission Engineer Popola mentioned.
Yeah.
MoneyGram said they make about $5 billion US, give and take, on commission. And the statistics we get concerning the totality of the remittances is under 25 billion. And I spoke to Mama that, Mama, this can't be right. This can't be right. This is, they get 10%. So if two companies makes about 15 or 5 plus 7, that's 12, plus the other one, probably let's say 15 billion US dollars on commission for remittances, then the total remittances coming into Nigeria is in the better region of over 100 billion US dollars. Therefore, the Nigerian in Diaspora Commission is not here to play. This is money that is now close to free money that should be made, and we can look inwards with it, because it's a lot of money. We all know we live in a society where the accuracy of statistics is something that can be dodgy most of the times. So Mama is looking into this. She will keep looking into it. And I'm sure, Engineer Popola, by this time next year, all things being equal, you will commend her. And yes, that's all I have to say, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know you are. I know the Diaspora Commission is on the autopilot, and they want to do quite a lot. And we be keeping tab on what is going on, because some of us have relations and some of us still have homes in overseas, and so we believe that. By all means, now that we have this commission that believes that every Nigerian life, one single Nigerian life that is maltreated in anywhere in the world is important to us. So some of us can now feel a bit of relief, and feel that something good is in the offing and something good is truly happening. So now I don't know if I have, I don't know if Dr. Oteri still wants to say anything, but I know he has said his final word about the water thing, but I still believe that maybe if there is anyone who still wants to speak, as we are rounding up now in the next 2 minutes, we're rounding up in the next 2 minutes. So if anyone has a final word, you can signify it, and then we'll take it, and then we'll round up. Well, it does appear that we are all satisfied, and hopefully, like I said, I must thank the speakers. I must thank the speakers. I can tell you that we will expand this conversation further in the coming year, and we've just needed to make sure we pass through this stage as much as possible without complaining, and to thrive in 2021. And let me say, on behalf of all of us at CED Magazine and Inside Business Africa, I must say a very big congratulations to the award winners, and most importantly, Abike Dabiri Erewa and Mrs. Uju Ifejika for influential. These are influential personalities, and we couldn't have selected any other person, any other people than these two personalities that fought, believe in Nigeria, and must make Nigeria work again. And that is what Abike Dabiri Erewa is doing. We truly, truly appreciate you, and we will continue to monitor us, because a lot of things are happening that people don't know. So as much as possible, the information will be out there with everyone. So let me also say a big congratulations to entire team at Inside Business Africa and CED Magazine. Dr. Popola, we thank you so much. You've always been with us at every one of our conversation here. So we really, really appreciate you. And Mr. Ayodele, thank you very much for this opportunity to enlighten, at least me, I'm sure a lot of other people on this platform, on what is going on at the Diaspora Commission. Thank you very much, the team at Inside Business Africa and CED Magazine. And compliment of the season, Happy New Year in advance, and make sure you enjoy yourself this particular festive season, but stay safe. From all of us at CED Magazine and Inside Business Africa, thank you again, and have a very good afternoon.